Chapter 13 Recruitment. Due to last night's bank heist by a villain group known as Black Cross, the bank in question has released a statement that they will officially be closing their doors and temporarily relocating to. The television is turned off. The person who turned off the TV was a girl. She had somewhat cat-like eyes, her irises were a bluish lilac color. Her periwinkle-colored hair is straight and reaches down to her waist, sporting a Heim cut. The periwinkle-haired girl sets the remote down and turns to walk to the kitchen. In doing so, she walks past a trophy case, each trophy showing all her academic rewards. All the trophies had the same name, Psycho and Telly. She finally enters the kitchen, serving herself some cereal. It was a school day after all. She needed to be one of the first to arrive at school. That was just part of the routine. She is a first-year student at CI Academy, a high school for becoming heroes. While it's not as prestigious as UA, it was the school her parents forced her to go to. Well, not that it matters anymore now that they're. Psycho puts on her uniform, which consists of a white, double-breasted blazer with a high collar and a gold trim that reaches halfway down her thighs, its sleeves elbow-length and cut off by wide, pale blue cuffs, a large pink bow at her neck, a dark blue long-sleeved shirt with matching dress pants, and some white gloves to top it off. She had to admit, while CI Academy's hero course cannot compare to UA's, CI's uniforms were much more stylish. She was at the door at the front of the house, opening it and stepping out. She was about to close the door behind her, but she quickly turned towards the house and said, "Bye, Mom." "Bye, Dad." She received no response. She was the only one home. She closes the door behind her and finally looks ahead, only to a white-haired boy. "He's here again today," Psycho thought to herself while inwardly sighing as well. This boy has been bothering her for the last couple of days, saying that he can help her. Well, she believes none of it. He tries to talk to her, but she ignores him and walks past him. This trial is one she needs to win on her own, for her parents' sake. Reaching out and paying people to forge evidence would lead her parents to be disappointed in her. The boy sighs and taps her on the shoulder. This is the first time he has physically touched her, so she naturally turned around, getting ready to shout at him, but he gives her a card and immediately runs off, not letting her get a single word in. She analyzes the card and sees that it's a simple index card with a number attached to it. She just shoves it into her bag and walks to school. When she arrives at class, she can hear that the class is very loud. She was unfortunately not the first to arrive, although this was now becoming a normal occurrence. She opens the door and the room goes silent. She hears whispers and gossip go out through the room. She finds her seat and sits. She was the center of attention in her class for at least 2 months. That was until, "Hey, isn't that Psycho and Telly? Why aren't you saying hi to her?" A girl who seemed to be from a different first-year class asked. "Didn't you hear? Her parents died in a car accident. And that the ones who lived are suing for everything in Telly's family name owns. And the way things are going, Psycho is going to lose this case. Meaning she won't be worth much. So she's gonna be poor? Well, doesn't she kind of deserve it? Right? She acted all high and mighty when she got here, flexing her wealth and quirk. But if she can't pay the fees, she'll be kicked out. Serves her right." "Ugh, I can hear you," thought Psycho. She wouldn't be surprised if they were being loud on purpose, but at this point, this sort of thing seemed like child's play. At first, this case seemed like a cat in the bag. Her parents are dead, and she suffered the losses, so they're the ones who should be sued. But the law is not so forgiving. She can't believe that the judges believed them without questioning a single thing. They think that just because she's a kid, she doesn't know any better. The tension is at an all-time high right now. Some would call it the climax of the case. Another meeting is supposed to happen this afternoon. She is prepared and ready for anything. A few hours later, or so she thought, nothing could prepare her for the absolute bullshit these fuckers would pull out of their asses. The documents were forged, but because they have witnesses and a neutral member to this, she can't deny it. She is using strong air quotes on the neutral member, since it appears he was bought by money. She tried everything, using all the evidence she piled up in the process. But it was all a waste. The best she could do was to be able to get one more chance to prove something before the final verdict. She knew what she had to do, just like them. She was going to play dirty. She knew her parents would have disapproved, but what does it matter? They're unfortunately not there to nag at her anymore. But even so, where to start? She had the money, but she has no idea where to find people for forgery or anything of the sort. Wait! Psycho internally screamed. A sudden realization had hit her, that white-haired boy that kept pestering her. He was his only lead as to how to get into this cruel world. She calls the number on a now crumbled index card. Hello? A young male voice speaks. She believes it to be the white-haired boy's voice. It's me, Psycho Intelli. I do need your help. Please wait a minute. After what felt like a minute had passed with only complete silence, the boy spoke again. I'll send you some coordinates. Please head there at midnight sharp. No minute later. He hangs up. Psycho stares at her phone in silence before breaking out into a small victory dance. Progress, she thought. Finally some progress. She can't wait. Meanwhile, Izuku is doing a small victory dance after almost 2 weeks of trying. He finally convinced Psycho Intelli to reach out to him. Flashback to 3 weeks ago. Izuku is currently looking at some documents of people. While it seems rather suspicious, it is necessary to find some new members. Izuku knows that not every member of his organization has to be from dungeons, since it seems that invitations drop only when the system wants. It's not based on chance, purely on if the system wants to see more of these people. At least that was what he concluded. So his best option was to recruit those from his world. While they might not be as powerful as those from the dungeons, he just wants people to fill specific roles in the organization. He's gone through many files at this point, and he found a few potential candidates. For a person to be on this list, they need to meet only one requirement: be in dire circumstances. He wants to help them out of the circumstance and then force them to pay a few favors. At least, that's the principle behind it. He knows that it will take time to get them to join, but he is willing to wait. For now, Izuku looks at now 4 candidates that are most likely to be the most useful. Izuku gives each of the current members one person to try and recruit. He let them choose first, which was a big mistake. They ended up leaving him with the hardest case. Izuku looks down at the document, Psycho Intelli. It says in bold at the top. He reads her current situation and sighs. She seems like an uptight, snobby brat. Well, based on the reports about her from before the accident. Her parents died in a car crash, and the people in the other car, who lived, tried their best to take all of the Intelli's family name's possessions. Izuku assumes that this was premeditated, as well as after following the case and going over the footage of the court's trials. He is pretty sure the judge has been bribed. Of course, this is all speculation, but the shoddiness is so obvious that he is surprised that Intelli hasn't tried to use it, or at least realize. Well, maybe she has, but she hasn't tried using that information to her advantage. Maybe she has no evidence, thought Izuku. The best way to help her is to use the same strategies her enemy is using. If you can't beat M, join them, mutters Izuku. Back to present. Izuku's now no longer dancing, but he is still proud of himself. This was no easy task. Izuku spent nights hoping she would call. Her quirk in itself is useful, but her already high IQ makes her perfect. He wants to put her in the position of strategist. Currently, Izuku is the strategist who mainly consists of bullshitting his way through things, since they'll eventually work out. But he knows this won't get him very far. Izuku stands up from the couch and walks over to a table that has a chessboard on it. He stares at the black chess pieces on the board. 1 king, 2 knights, 1 rook. Excluding the pawns, he only has 4 pieces left. He turns his attention to the chess pieces off the board to the side. He picks up a black piece and sets it right next to his piece. While a king may assert dominion through power, a queen's keen intellect and discernment become the compass, guiding a good kingdom towards prosperity and flourishing. Several hours pass and Psycho is walking through the location specified. It was a beach, a really dirty beach for sure. Trash lined up the coast, and she realized that the location they specified was very vague. So she now has to wander around until she can find them. Not even a few seconds later she sees him, the white-haired boy. He is sitting on a pile of old parts from a car, staring at the ocean. He turns quickly and is very threatening, but when he notices it's her, he smiles. Nice to finally meet you, Miss Intelli. Please drop the miss, we're practically the same age. As you wish. Well then, now are you ready? Psycho gives him a confused look. Ready for what? Well, you see, as I was watching your trials I wondered something. Psycho listened intently, curious as to what he was thinking. What? Why were you not using their obvious bribery to your advantage? Her enthusiasm quickly left her face as she had a look that said, Are you stupid? Isn't it obvious? I had no evidence. Izuku grinned, knowing what to say. That's where you're wrong. Psycho's face returned to an intrigued look, so he took that as a sign to continue. Why try to find evidence when you can just make your own? That's what you sought me out for, right? Psycho nods. Yes, that's true. So can you help me? Yes, of course I can, but not for free. Well, I at least know that much. How much? Nope, in this industry we don't pay with money. It has no real value. At least, not in the long run. Psycho was more confused. If not money, then what? Her face immediately shifts to one of realization. My body is also not an option. Izuku gives her a confused stare. What? No, that's not what I meant. I didn't know a person as smart as you would be so scandalous. Psycho's face becomes red with embarrassment, and so she tries to immediately get the conversation back on track. Anyways, what is the price? Something simple, 3 favors, responds Izuku. 3 favors? That's it, says a confused Psycho. You see, Lady Intelli, your IQ is in and of itself already impressive. However, your quirk further increases your already high intelligence. Psycho nods at his explanation. You see, there might be times when we need such intelligence, so when the time arrives you must answer our call. Simple, right? Psycho ponders for a second before nodding her head in agreement. Well, for what you are going to do, I think this is too little. But there is not much else I could offer anyway. Okay, fine, you have yourself a deal. Psycho extends her hand out for a handshake. Izuku glances at her hand before then he grasps it and shakes it, looking forward to working with you. A few days later, Izuku entered the courtroom and sat down as a spectator would. He made sure the evidence was as realistic as possible. His best option was that they would leave off with a minuscule amount of Psycho's belongings. Well, her family's belongings to be more exact. Izuku arrived earlier than the actual start time, but there were already people in the courtroom. He noticed that there was a blonde-haired boy around his age sporting a white techwear hoodie, techwear pants, techwear everything. But it did have some strange symbol on it. Was there some trend going around that he missed? Izuku would look into it later. But there was also a girl with long white hair wearing a similar outfit. Wow, thought Izuku. I am late to trends, huh? He sighed and went back to what he was thinking about. Several minutes pass and the trial start time arrives, and everyone is already in place. Surprisingly enough, the blonde-haired boy from earlier spoke first. Please rise. The Court of the Second Judicial Circuit, Criminal Division, is now in session, the Honorable Judge Mary presiding. Izuku rises, and so does the rest of the court. Jude Mary speaks. Everyone but the jury may be seated. Lucas, please swear in the jury. So his name is Lucas, huh? Thought Izuku. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will truly listen to this case and render a true verdict and a fair sentence as to this defendant? The jury in unison says, I do. You may be seated. Members of the jury, your duty today will be to determine whether the defendant is guilty or not guilty based only on facts and evidence provided in this case. The prosecution must prove that a crime was committed and that the defendant is the person who committed the crime. However, if you are not satisfied with the defendant's guilt to that extent, then reasonable doubt exists and the defendant must be found not guilty. Lucas, what is today's case? Your Honor, today's case is the lawsuit against Psycho Intelli for a motor vehicle accident. Is the prosecution ready? Yes, Your Honor. Is the defense ready? Yes, Your Honor. Izuku put Bahadur in place as a part of the defense attorneys since he was the only one that could pass as an adult. And as for the other one, just some random person named Saul. Your Honor, members of the jury, my name is Damien and my co-counsel and I are representing the plaintiff in this case. We intend to prove that on May 5th, 20XX. Psycho and Telly's parents were driving under the influence of alcohol and injured my clients. Please find Psycho and Telly's parents guilty of dash. Before Damien could finish his sentence, a crash can be heard through the front where the door was. Someone broke into the courtroom, but the debris made it hard to see who it was and where they were. The people also panicked and tried to hightail it out of there, further confusing them. My name is Bloody Eye. These words echoed in the room, making it hard to pinpoint his exact location. Izuku was getting ready to attack. I have been tasked today with killing a certain periwinkle-haired girl in the courtroom. Psycho and Telly. Psycho had a look of fear on her face, not used to these sorts of situations. Her heart beat faster, she felt goosebumps, and her whole body was shaking. Now die. Bloody Eye charged right for her, revealing his location. He was about to reach her and pierce her neck with the sword made of his blood. Lucas pulled out his sword and blocked the attack, pushing Bloody Eye away. He quickly turns around and asks urgently, "Are you okay, Ms. Intelli?" While still shaken up, she lets out a slight nod. Lucas releases a sigh of relief before shouting, "People of the courtroom, do not worry, Lucas, will take care of this. For I am a member of Ethereal Genesis. Our numbers are only 2, but I promise we are still strong enough to handle this threat." And with those words, the people panicking in the courtroom calmed down. And now that Bloody Eye could no longer use the people's panic and confusion to his advantage, TCH, guess I'll retreat for now. He heads for the exit, but then bumps into something, He looks up to see a white-haired girl wearing clothes similar to Lucas's. I'm dead, thought Bloody Eye. -2 weeks later. Thanks to the help of Ethereal Genesis, Bloody Eye was found to have been hired by the plaintiffs, and the new evidence, she had put the nail in the coffin. However, she feels something was off. Why out of all those days were they there? And she just so happened to have been attacked. She senses something fishy is going on here. After some time pondering whether or not to make this decision, she just sighs and thinks, what the heck, and goes for it anyway. She calls the number that the white-haired boy gave her. Hello? It was a voice she did not recognize, a female voice. Perhaps the boy's sister? Hey, give me that. It's my phone. Huh? Well then just don't leave it on the table. Yep, definitely siblings, thought Psycho as she heard the argument unfold. Hello? Who is this? It's me. Lady Intelli? Something the matter? I'll remind you that we'll call you when it's time to repay your debt. Psycho clears her throat. Are you by chance working for the Black Cross? Silence ensued for what felt like a lifetime. What makes you think that? It's based on how you refer to yourself in the plural. Plus how the evidence was forged, I could tell that you're no rookies, so while it was a reach, your reaction confirms I was right. Izuku sighs. Well, now that you know, what will you do? You see, I think the Ethereal Genesis are not the people they seem to be, and the fact that they were sent here to subdue the Black Cross, everything about them seems off. So you think so too? That them saving you is no mere coincidence? Yes, I do. But then again, that doesn't answer my question. What will you do now? Psycho hesitates before finally answering, let me join you. Izuku stayed silent, processing what she just said. Flashback 2 weeks ago. Lucas can be seen handing over a bag of money to a man. This man was Bloody Eye. Pleasure doing business with ya. Bloody Eye tips his hat before booking it out of the alley. So your plan worked out in the end? Said the same white-haired girl from before. Lucas nodded. Well, it was quite easy to convince those greedy pigs to break the law to end the court trial faster. You are an evil man, Lucas, said the white-haired girl. Hell yeah, I am, responded Lucas with a smile on his face. Indeed, Lucas, so evil that you would kidnap my sister? Lucas's eyes twitched. I've told you time and time again, Elise, I don't know where your sister is. Nor do I have anything to do with her disappearance. Now let's stop wasting time. We've got work to do. Lucas also went out of the alleyway. TCH, damn bastard, said the girl now known as Elise. The end.